In this video, we'll be taking a look at 4 NBA games happening on March 10, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games. So 8 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 4 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Los Angeles Lakers versus Brooklyn Nets. The Los Angeles Lakers are heading to the Big Apple for an interconference showdown against the Brooklyn Nets on Monday night. This cross-country matchup promises to be an intriguing battle on the hardwood, as both teams look to bounce back from recent struggles and secure a much-needed win. The Lakers are coming off a tough 111-101 road loss to the Boston Celtics on Saturday night. Not only did they fall short on the scoreboard, but they also failed to cover the spread as 8.5-point underdogs. Meanwhile, the Nets suffered a disappointing 105-102 defeat at the hands of the Charlotte Hornets on the same night, losing outright as 6-point favorites. Historically, the Lakers have dominated the regular season series against the Nets, holding a commanding 70-30 advantage. They've also won the last 2 matchups, including a narrow 102-101 victory at home earlier this season on January 17th. The Lakers will be shorthanded for this game, as LeBron James has been ruled out due to injury. Additionally, the team is keeping a close eye on Luka Doncic and Jackson Hayes, both of whom are listed as questionable. Earlier in the season, the Lakers were one of the hottest teams in the league, but their momentum has stalled following the loss to the Celtics and the absence of LeBron, who is expected to miss significant time. With Doncic's status up in the air, the Lakers no longer look like the surefire bet they were during their winning streak. On the other hand, the Nets have been struggling mightily, losing 8 of their last 10 games and failing to cover the spread in 6 of their last 9. Their recent form has been far from inspiring. The Nets are in the midst of a 7-game losing streak, and it's clear that they're struggling to find any rhythm or motivation, particularly with the play-in tournament looming. Their last 2 games have been especially frustrating, as they squandered a 22-point lead against the Golden State Warriors and followed it up by blowing a 17-point advantage against the Hornets. Scoring has been a major issue for Brooklyn, and they'll face a tough challenge against the Lakers, even without LeBron James. Los Angeles has shown offensive improvement since acquiring Luka Doncic from the Dallas Mavericks before the trade deadline. While James and Rui Hachimura won't be available for this game, the Lakers still have enough talent on the roster to compete effectively. Regardless of who suits up for the Lakers, they should be able to handle a Nets team that appears disengaged and out of sync. The Lakers are entering a challenging stretch with injuries mounting, but they should still have more than enough firepower to defeat a Nets squad that's ice cold and coming off a loss to the struggling Hornets. As our first pick for this matchup, the Los Angeles Lakers to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Both teams have trended toward the under this season when it comes to the total points scored. The Lakers, in particular, have been a strong under team recently, staying below the total in 9 of their last 10 games. Over that stretch, they've averaged 111 points per game, which is slightly below their season-long average. Los Angeles ranks 22nd in adjusted tempo with 97.7 possessions per game, but sits 8th in offensive efficiency, showing they can still score effectively when needed. The Nets, meanwhile, are averaging just 105 points per game over their last 10, slightly below their season average. They rank dead last in the league in tempo with 96.1 possessions per game and are 27th in offensive efficiency, highlighting their struggles to generate consistent offense. 3 of the last 4 meetings between these 2 teams have gone under the total, and with LeBron out and the Nets scoring woes, the under looks like a solid bet in this contest as well. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Washington Wizards versus Toronto Raptors. The Wizards are heading north to face the Raptors in Toronto on Monday night. This season, the Wizards are out of the playoff race and fully focused on rebuilding as they prepare for the draft lottery this spring. The Raptors are in a similar situation, with just 18 games left in their season and also looking ahead to the draft. Both teams are in a transitional phase, prioritizing future development over immediate results. The Wizards are dealing with multiple injuries, as K.A. Tris Middleton, Malcolm Brogdon, and Marcus Smart remain sidelined. On the other side, the Raptors will be without Jakob Poeltl and Ochai Agbaji for this matchup. It's tough to predict the outcome when both teams are in rebuild mode and actively managing their rosters. While injuries play a part, both squads are also resting players, which says a lot about how they view this game in the grand scheme of things. Despite their struggles, both teams have shown effort and competitiveness late in the season. The Raptors, with 20 wins, won't catch the Wizards for the league's worst record, but they have more established talent and a stronger overall roster. Offensively, the Raptors shoot better and have a slightly more effective defense. They also excel on the boards, ranking 7th in the NBA in rebounding. After losing the first game of this back-to-back series in Toronto, the Raptors will be motivated to bounce back in the second matchup. A poor defensive second quarter cost them on Saturday night, and they'll look to tighten things up. The Wizards, who ranked 27th in scoring this season, are unlikely to replicate their near 40-point second quarter performance from the previous game. Additionally, the Raptors have been solid at home this season, which gives them an edge. Emmanuel quickly is expected to return for the Raptors in this second game against the Wizards. He had a standout performance 2 days ago against the Utah Jazz, scoring a season-high 34 points along with 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals. However, he was held out of the first game of this series. Jamal Shead will continue to see playing time alongside Quickly, as he has been performing well for the Raptors. Despite their recent win, the Wizards have struggled in Toronto, losing 13 of their last 16 games at Scotiabank Arena. Given these factors, the Raptors seem poised to secure a win in this matchup. As our first pick for this matchup, the Toronto Raptors to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Scotty Barnes has been struggling with his outside shot recently, hitting just 19.4% of his 3.6 three-point attempts per game over his last 10 outings. Both teams are clearly in tank mode, and the Raptors are managing minutes for Jakob Poeltl, even though he could dominate against the Wizards' weaker front court. Toronto plays at an average pace and will be missing several key starters, including Grady Dick and Jonathan Mogbo, while Poeltl is unlikely to play more than 25 minutes. The Wizards, meanwhile, rank last in offensive efficiency. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Utah Jazz versus Boston Celtics. On Sunday evening, the Utah Jazz will head to the Wells Fargo Center for a road game against the Boston Celtics. The Jazz are coming off a loss to the Toronto Raptors, while the Celtics are riding high after a win against the Los Angeles Lakers. The Jazz continue to deal with a number of injuries, as key players like Colin Sexton, John Collins, and Lauri Markkanen remain sidelined. On the other side, the Celtics are monitoring the status of Al Horford and Jason Tatum, who are both listed as questionable for this matchup. Boston is one of the top teams in the NBA, and they're facing the worst team in the Western Conference. With their eyes set on a deep playoff run, I wouldn't be surprised if they rest some of their starters after their recent game against the Lakers. Players like Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, or Kristaps Porzingis could see reduced minutes or sit out entirely. The Celtics have been on a roll lately, winning and covering the spread in their last 4 games. They're starting to look like the dominant team we saw last season. Meanwhile, the Jazz are clearly in tank mode, shutting down most of their impactful players as they aim for a better draft position. On paper, the Celtics have the talent to blow out the Jazz by 30 or more points. However, this game has all the makings of a trap, sandwiched between a high-profile win over the Lakers and an upcoming game against the Thunder. Despite their struggles, the Jazz have been a solid bet against the spread this season, posting a 34-30 record. While I expect the Celtics to come out on top, I think Utah has enough to keep the game within 15 points and cover the spread. They've covered in 5 of their last 7 games, and I'm willing to take a chance on them here. Laying this many points in an NBA game feels risky, so I'll side with the Jazz in the points. As our first pick for this matchup, the Utah Jazz to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Even though the Jazz are in full tank mode and struggling defensively, they can still score points, especially against a Celtics team that might not bring their full intensity after their primetime showdown with the Lakers. Keon George has been a bright spot for Utah, averaging 18 points, 4.5 rebounds, 6 assists, and 0.5 steals per game off the bench in his last 8 outings since the All-Star break. He should provide a spark for the second unit and help keep the scoreboard ticking. The Jazz play at a fast pace, and the Celtics are always looking to fire away from beyond the arc, so this game has the potential to be high-scoring. The over has hit in 20 of 31 games when the Jazz are road underdogs this season. I expect Utah to compete and force their way to the free throw line, where they rank 4th in free throw rate. They also take a lot of threes, which should help push the total higher. On the other side, the Celtics will have no trouble finding scoring opportunities against a Jazz defense that ranks last in defensive rating, 28th in opponent two-point percentage, and 28th in three-point attempts allowed. Boston dominates on the perimeter, leading the league in both mid-range and three-point attempt rates. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Philadelphia 76ers versus Atlanta Hawks. On Monday night, the Philadelphia 76ers will face off against the Atlanta Hawks at State Farm Arena. This marks the first meeting of the season between these two Eastern Conference rivals. Over their last 10 matchups, the 76ers have held the edge with a 6-4 straight-up record. Additionally, the over has hit in 6 of those 10 games, suggesting a trend toward higher-scoring contests. The 76ers continue to deal with significant absences as Kyle Lowry, Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, and Joel Embiid remain sidelined. On the other side, the Hawks will once again be without Jalen Johnson, and Trae Young's status is up in the air as he's listed as questionable for the game. The Hawks are riding some momentum after a solid week, having won 3 of their last 4 games. They also have the advantage of being well rested heading into this matchup. Meanwhile, the 76ers have struggled all season, failing to cover spreads consistently, and they'll be playing on the second night of a back-to-back. While the Hawks should logically be favored, it's hard to justify them being nearly double-digit favorites given their sub-.500 record and losing mark at home. I've been critical of the 76ers all season, and backing a team with the worst cover percentage in the league doesn't feel right. That said, laying big points with a mediocre Hawks team isn't appealing either. As our first pick for this matchup, the Philadelphia 76ers to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. In their 4 meetings last season, every game between these two teams went over the total, with the teams combining for an average of 250 points per game. This year's matchup pits the NBA's 5th best offense against the 5th worst. Regardless of the outcome, the Hawks have shown they can fill up the scoreboard, scoring at least 119 points in 5 straight games. They also play at one of the fastest paces in the league, ranking 2nd in possessions per game, which means they're always looking to push the tempo. Additionally, the Hawks average 1.3 more points per game at home compared to on the road this season. Philadelphia should find some relief going up against an Atlanta defense that has been generous, allowing at least 118 points in 5 consecutive games. The Sixers also showed some life offensively in their last outing, with multiple players stepping up to score 126 points on Sunday night. The over has been a strong trend for Atlanta this season, cashing in 11 of 15 games when they're favored at home. Both teams have been involved in high-scoring games overall, with a combined over record of 72 to 51 to 3 in their matchups. The Hawks' fast-paced style, combined with their ability to get to the free throw line and move the ball, creates plenty of scoring opportunities. Philadelphia also excels at drawing fouls and forcing turnovers, which should contribute to a faster, higher-scoring game. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.